Frank Herbert Dune places the reader in an interstellar feudal society set some 20,000 years into mankind's future. The various regions and planets in this civilization are governed by noble houses that control planetary fiefs. The great house that serves as the primary antagonist for Frank Herbert's first book is the ruthless and power-hungry House Harkonnen. In this video, I'd like to examine a few notable events in the history of this great house, as well as what makes them so relentless in their constant struggle for Imperial dominance. Spoiler warning, as I will be covering the timeline of House Harkonnen leading up to and throughout Frank Herbert Dune's saga. The Harkonnen family name is derived from the Finnish word harka, which means ox. This name dates back to ancient Earth and was believed to originate in the Western Russian Empire from the area that is currently Finland. During the time of the League of Nobles and before the events of the Butlerian Jihad, a war which resulted in the banishment of thinking machines, the Harkonnen family ran mining operations on the planet Hagal, which served as a basis for their flourishing commercial empire. Born some 18 years before the end of the Butlerian Jihad, Aurelien Harkonnen became the founder of the family's house. The centuries-long feud with House Atreides began during the Battle of Corinne, a major military event which served as the final strike against the last haven of thinking machines. During the course of this battle, Aurelien refused an order from Commander Vorian Atreides. As a result, Aurelien was branded as a coward and traitor. He was subsequently banished from the worlds controlled by the League and exiled to the backwater planet of Lankavale. From then on, Vorian Atreides swore that his descendants would forever regard the Harkonnen name as shameful. Eventually, the Harkonnens would acquire a planet called Geidi Prime, which they filled with cities, factories, and arenas that were used to feature gladiatorial events and other spectacles for the inhabitants. The rule of House Harkonnen was marked by fear, terror, hatred, and brutality. Through their governance, the entire planet of Geidi Prime became a harsh, industrial, volcanic wasteland. This oppressive environment, combined with the restrictive living conditions stemming from the tyrannical Harkonnen rulership, served to produce effective conscripts for the house's military forces. Because of the prevalence of treachery and punishment in their society, Harkonnen soldiers would often climb the ranks through trickery, deceit, and assassination if necessary. Although they only held the status of a minor house for several centuries, their power and influence gradually increased within the Landsraad by means of their crafty economic maneuvering. Through their willful disregard of ethical business practices, the Harkonnens were able to maximize output and minimize production expenses. Many natives of Geidi Prime were used as slave labor to work the industrial machines littering the planet's surface. In the year 10,130 AG, House Harkonnen won the planetary fief of Arrakis. With this, they were responsible for the oversight of the mining and supply of the spice melange to the universe. The Harkonnens carried their harsh governing methods from their homeworld to Arrakis, resulting in the persecution of the native Fremen people. They continued to skimp on infrastructure maintenance, and as a result, after paying their tithe to the Emperor, were able to retain a substantial amount of melange for themselves. Over the 80 years of their rule of Arrakis, the Harkonnens had managed to amass considerable wealth through spice mining. Before the rise of Vladimir Harkonnen, his father Dmitri served as ruler of the house and of their homeworld. Dmitri had two wives, Victoria Harkonnen, who was the mother of Vladimir, and later Daphne Harkonnen, who gave him two more sons, Maritin and Abaelard. Abaelard proved to be Dmitri's preferred child, and as such was granted control of House Harkonnen and the Arrakis fiefdom upon his father's death. However, Abaelard was good-hearted and lacked the brutality and ambitious thirst typical of the Harkonnens. As a result, he proved to be an ineffective leader for the house, causing a drastic decline in spice production. Subsequently, he was removed and replaced by his older half-brother, Vladimir. In disgrace, he was sent to rule as the planetary governor of Lankavale, where he oversaw the whale fur trade. Abaelard was so repulsed by the brutal methods of his half-brother that he petitioned the Landsraad to let him adopt the maiden name of his wife, Emi Rabban, with whom he had two sons, Glasu and Feyd-Rautha. Unfortunately, both of his sons were taken into the Harkonnen household. Glossu proved to be a vicious brute who eventually killed his father, strangling him to death. This earned him the name Beast Raban. While Vladimir saw the usefulness of Glossu's brutality, he desired a more intelligent and charismatic heir and turned his attention to developing and training Glossu's younger brother, Feyd-Rautha. As their leader, Vladimir Harkonnen greatly added to the house's already notorious reputation, and he fostered and regularly acted on sadistic pedophilic tendencies. He also utilized the methods of widespread torture, murder, and slavery to maintain his power. Often he would neutralize threats by ordering executions of individuals over extremely trivial matters. The Baron's thirst for power was so great that he grew to covet the authority of the Imperial House Carino. In tandem with his inherited hatred for the Atreides, he plotted in secret against both houses in order to destroy the Atreides and usurp the Carinos. Vladimir remained unmarried and never claimed any children. However, it was revealed later that, unbeknownst to him, Lady Jessica of House Atreides was actually his illegitimate daughter. In the expanded Dune novels, it is detailed that the Baron was forced into conceiving a daughter for the Bene Gesserit's breeding program. The Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohiam was able to compel his cooperation by threatening him with a guild bank audit of his sinister activities and the possible revocation of his temporary Chom directorship. While it can be said that the Harkonnens operated regularly outside of the limits of ethical boundaries, they still had to respect the power and authority held by the major institutions of the universe, such as Chom, the Spacing Guild, and the Landsraad. With the rise of Paul Atreides on Arrakis, the Baron's plans for Imperial domination were foiled. Vladimir met his swift death at the hands of Paul's younger sister and his biological granddaughter Alia Atreides with a single poisonous prick from her Gom Jabbar. The title of Baron passed briefly to Feyd-Rautha before he ultimately met his end, being killed by Paul in an act of Canly. With Paul's rise to power as the new emperor, House Harkonnen effectively came to its end. Control of the Harkonnen homeworld of Geidi Prime was handed to the people of Caladan. Under the governance of one of House Harkonnen's former slaves, the Atreides War Master Gurney Halleck, Geidi Prime was renamed Gamu. In the years that followed, most of the Harkonnens' industrial machines were dismantled, and through massive reforestation efforts, the planet's natural ecosystem was largely restored. Although dead in body and spirit, the terrible Vladimir Harkonnen would re-emerge through Alia Atreides, as she was possessed by the ego memory of her grandfather. This was due to her status as a Bene Gesserit abomination who was unable to control her ancestral genetic memories. Also, due to the Bene Gesserit's breeding program, while this sinister house met its end early on in Frank Herbert's series, the Harkonnen bloodline would continue on through the Atreides as the rest of the Dune saga unfolded. But I'm curious to know what you think of House Harkonnen. Are there any events or characters in this house's history that stand out to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.